Okay, so first thing I gotta say before we even start, this game here, it's just Dark Souls. Like, legit, it's not remade, it's not really updated very much, apart from some graphical updates and a few small gameplay tweaks, you know, minor fixes here and there. Yeah, this is basically just Dark Souls again. It's the same Dark Souls you likely played 7 years ago. If you own the original game, especially if you own it on like a decent to high range PC with the latest version of DS Fix running on it, there's literally no reason to get this game. I guess that makes any review of it particularly difficult from the get-go. That's certainly major points off in one respect. I mean, like I say, if you already have this game on something else, which, let's be real, chances are you probably do, you really don't need to buy this. I mean, unless that frame rate drop in Blighttown just rubs your junk up so raw you can't even stand it, my word of advice to you is, you don't necessarily need to buy this game. Partially because, like Jim Sterling said, Blighttown sucks at any frame rate, and also because, even from my standpoint, I can see that there just isn't enough reason to justify purchasing this all over again if you have it for something else, that is. I really need to stress that. If you've already got this game, don't sweat picking this up necessarily. But that having been said, I am still extremely glad this title exists, because A, I'm all about game preservation and porting games from other generations across to newer platforms, so that new players, or players who missed the train the first time around, can get a chance to experience what made those games so special for themselves. And B, well, I actually was one of those people who missed the train on the original Dark Souls, but since then, I have played me some Souls games. Mother of God, have I played me some Souls games. I've played and beaten every other game in the Souls series, and even a few Souls-likes that aren't directly connected, like Neo and Salt and Sanctuary. I've come to really love this genre of Souls-likes. Hell, I think I'm the only person on the planet who actually thought The Surge was pretty good. I mean, for what it was, at least, you know. But through all this time, going back over the various other entries in the series, along with playing a bunch of games that were inspired by this title, I never actually got around to playing the game that started it all. Huh. Okay, well, technically the game that started it all was Demon's Souls, and I did try to give that a whirl recently, but oh no, oh son of a bitch! So with a shiny new remaster out, I can finally justify taking a moment to see how the game that made us all prepare to die holds up after so many deaths. Plus, to those of you who never had the opportunity to take the plunge, like me, maybe I can recommend this as a jumping on point? Well, let's see what we're dealing with here. First thing I do need to warn you guys about, though, is that even with the updated textures and upscaled and improved graphics, the changes are minor at best. This isn't like the Shadow of the Colossus remake. Remember, this isn't a remake, it's a remaster. A remaster of a last-gen game that wasn't exactly the prettiest gal at the ball to begin with. So, it still looks pretty last gen. When the goofiest character I can make in the character creation screen is just one of the default guys, you know that's saying something. I mean, it's still impressive in places, for certain, and even with the out-of-date looking graphics, I still caught plenty of scenic views and awe-inspiring moments where the environments were really captivating. It's just that, you know, compared to its younger brothers like Dark Souls 3, Bloodborne, even Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin, it's really showing its age. It's nothing that'll kneecap your experience. I mean, I bought this for PS4, and Lord knows we've seen uglier games than this on that platform. But it might stick out to you, especially if you're a Souls veteran. But hey, remaster, not remake. There's only so much they can do about that, and what they did is fine, I suppose. You know, it's passable. So how about the gameplay then? How does it hold up compared to all the other titles? Well, I can say this much right off the bat. Holy God, this is some of the most intriguing level design I've ever seen. Apart from maybe Bloodborne, this has to be my favorite Souls game level design. The map is just exquisitely laid out. Areas interconnect with one another and loop and swoop and touch into each other so gracefully. I completely understand now why so many old school Souls fans beg for a map layout more like the one in the original game. I mean, people complain that later Souls games were too linear, and never having played the original, I never saw a problem with it, but playing this game, oh, I get it now. I see why y'all are so nostalgic. They never got it as right as they did in this game. This map was them totally nailing it on the first try. Well, okay, second. People, I tried with Demon Souls, I really did, but it's just so janky. It's so janky. It's so damn janky. But there is one thing I really don't care for in this map design, and it's the bonfires. Yeah, I'm sorry people, I know this is a common complaint, but I'm totally gonna be that guy, especially after playing every other game where you can warp between every single bonfire when you bloody well please. Oh, not in this title. This game makes you earn that privilege. You don't get the ability to warp between bonfires until you're about halfway through the game. And it's not like in all the other games too, where you have a central hub where almost everything you'll ever need, you know, blacksmiths, vendors, etc., is all in one easy place to access. No, man. This is not Dark Souls 3 Firelink Shrine. This isn't even Majula. This place, you're gonna be running around a lot. Find a bunch of Titanite and want to get your weapon upgraded? Well, I hope you have the spare time to lug your ass all the way back to the Undead Parish. And even when you get the ability to warp, you can only warp to certain bonfires in certain places. Oh my God, this makes some areas just complete pains in the ass, especially when you have to backtrack to find another special item. There are plenty of times where the bonfire placement in this game will completely and royally fuck you over. And from what I understand, it was actually worse in the original title. They apparently added more bonfires to this game. And it's still like this? Ooh, man. Ooh. And holy God, does this game love putting your bonfire checkpoints as far away from bosses as it can possibly get away with. I probably have about 35 hours of capture footage from this game, but I'd bank on a good 10 to 15 of it is just me running from bonfire to boss room, bonfire to boss room, bonfire to boss room, busting my ass across obstacles and enemies and stage hazards again and again and again. Like, if you've played any other Souls or Souls-like game, the run-up to the boss is done way better than anything done here. The fucking Surge does it better than Dark Souls 1. And that's likely to get me some colorful comments. But again, it's an outdated technique of padding out gameplay time that is just not executed well. I've heard some people praise this way of doing it by saying, well, they're making you earn your victory, so you feel like you accomplished something by working super hard. And okay, you know what? I get that. I get that, because in games like Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne, I do feel that, you know, those games have run-ups too, you know, some of them can be downright brutal. But guys, when I'm running from the Duke's Archives all the way down that tricky-ass platforming section with this game's crappy platforming controls and tons of invisible platforms, not to mention plenty of golems to knock you off said platforms, then fighting a room full of those stupid clam things so they don't follow me into the boss room, only to get to the boss room and get one-shotted because I don't even know how to take him out yet. Yeah. No. Never. I'm a summon spam. Like a motherfucker. Judge me, I ain't give a like, this game is a classic, but there are just lots of things about this original title that they clearly improved upon in other games, which, you know, I mean, that makes sense. This was the template which they built all of their improvements around, but Oh man, there's just so much little nitpicky shit in this game that gets under my skin. Getting over encumbered after reaching 50% as opposed to 70%? That's dumb. Only having 2 ring slots when I have 10 motherfucking fingers? That's dumb. Having to use an item to leave and rate other people's messages and having to store it in my inventory and get it out, that's dumb. Not being able to climb ladders fast? That's super dumb. Some of the boss fights, like the Bed of Chaos, which is again centered around the game's terrible platforming controls, the Capra Demon, who's really only a tough boss because you gotta fight him in a broom closet, Gwendolyn, where it's the exact opposite problem. Dude, stop teleporting! Those are all kinda dumb. And the thing is, all this nitpicky stuff are things that could have been tweaked to help make the game more fun and accessible. These were things, from what I understand, the Souls community at large always complained about with the original game, and if they'd have tweaked and adjusted or even just full-blown taken some of these things out, I can't imagine too many people complaining or getting grumpy about that. This would have been easy fixes to make the original title more fun and accessible. But no, they decided to make this title more of a authentic Dark Souls 1 experience, all the while forgetting that the original Dark Souls 1 experience is a bit fucked in places. But all of this comes around to illustrate my central point here. Is this a good game? Hell yeah, I'd say it's a great game. I had a lot of fun with it, and I can understand why back in the day it created such a stir and got so many people hyped up over it. But even coming from my weirdo, sort of outsider's perspective on this specific title, I can clearly see how this game is aged, and in some places, it hasn't aged well. In some areas, it's rather charming and endearing. In areas like level design and some of the better boss fights you encounter, I'd say this game contains some of the series' best entries, period. As big of a pain in the ass as that battle with Gwyn is, oh, you can't tell me that's just one of the most epic, glorious video game battles you can possibly experience. Oh, shit! But apart from Demon Souls, this is also the most undercooked game in the series. The lore and story development here is super sparse, even by those Dark Souls standards. A lot of the systems are clunky and needlessly difficult to deal with, and even though this game does do a lot to play tough but fair with you, there are way more moments of outright dickishness in this title than in any other, I would say. And this remaster, again, does not do much at all to alleviate those original issues. So many issues they could have very easily worked out here, but they didn't touch them. It's a very warts and all kind of re-release, and those of you hoping they would fix a lot of the original game's problems will probably be disappointed. But if you're a newbie, should you play this game? Yeah, sure, you can pick this one up, for sure. Dark Souls is a classic. Even if it is showing a bit of age, it's the foundational game that made so many other classics of this genre possible. But all those clunkier mechanics and less than graceful aspects to this title, most of those little bugbears, are still here too, and they could potentially rub you the wrong way or leave a bad first impression. Honestly, my personal recommendation, if you want to start with this series, maybe go with something like Bloodborne or even Dark Souls 3. Hell, Dark Souls 3 actually ties into the lore of Dark Souls 1 really, really well. Like, if you want a taste of what this game would have in store for you without so much blech, I could say give that a try first. But if you were like me and you haven't played this game at all and just wanted to get to it eventually, this is easily the best way to do it nowadays. Even if it is a warts and all experience, the game just has so much charm and personality that by the time you do reach that epic final showdown, oh, you totally won't mind any of that. Dark Souls Remastered gets 4 nerdy girls that are actually really cute behind their glasses out of 5.